Imagine a situation where the core conflict is becoming more intense and complex, with different perspectives clashing over what is happening in Gaza right now. But here's where it gets controversial. The actions and plans announced by Israeli leaders are sparking widespread debate, not only among the international community, but within Israel itself. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly defended Israel's strategy to take control of Gaza City and the remaining parts of Gaza, still outside Israeli jurisdiction. His stance is that this move, which involves forcibly displacing residents and establishing military control over the territory, is the most effective way to end the ongoing war swiftly. In a recent press conference held in Jerusalem, Netanyahu emphasized that the plan to seize Gaza City would involve relocating civilians to designated safe zones, areas where they would supposedly receive enough food, water, and medical care. Yet, details remain scarce about how the movement of 2 million residents could be organized safely, especially given current conditions, and critics argue that such plans risk further chaos and suffering. International reactions have been swift and mostly critical, condemning the plan for exacerbating humanitarian crises. Starvation, disease, and displacement are already alarming in Gaza. Adding fuel to the fire, many families of hostages held by Hamas are speaking out against the escalation. They urge their government to focus on negotiations for a ceasefire and the release of captives, rather than extending military operations. Despite these calls, Netanyahu remains committed to a long-term vision of removing Hamas's influence from Gaza. He envisions establishing an administrative body in Gaza that operates independently of Hamas or the Palestinian Authority, while Israel retains overriding security responsibilities. Interestingly, Netanyahu claims the goal is not occupation but liberation. Yet his policies and statements suggest a strategy that could lead to extensive control and displacement. Within his coalition, opinions are far from unanimous. Some ministers demand outright annexation and the cessation of aid to Gaza, proposing even more aggressive measures. Meanwhile, Netanyahu dismisses claims of widespread starvation, labeling reports of famine as malignant lies. Although evidence from on-the-ground health professionals and international observers paint a very different picture: severe malnutrition, hospitals overwhelmed, and the humanitarian system collapsing. The international community is not silent. The UN Security Council held a meeting to discuss Israel's military approach, with many leaders warning that such actions could intensify violence rather than bring resolution. Humanitarian experts highlight the dire situation. Food shortages, medical supply failures, and collapsing infrastructure have created a public health catastrophe. Since the start of the conflict, thousands of Palestinians have been killed, and many more wounded or scarred by efforts to access aid. Protests have erupted across Israel, with many citizens expressing fears that expanding military operations could endanger hostages still held in Gaza. Supporters of the Palestinian cause also protested in places like London, illustrating how divisive and worldwide this conflict has become. Regional leaders have condemned Israel's plans in strong terms, calling them acts that could amount to genocide and systematic violence. Even powerful allies like Germany have announced restrictions on arms exports to Israel amid concern over escalating violence. Meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Dorothy Shea, defended Israel's right to security, but also stressed that the war could conclude if Hamas allowed all hostages to be released and Gaza returned to stability. Adding another layer, Netanyahu recently spoke with President Trump, expressing gratitude for unwavering support. Trump's own remarks hinted that Israel might pursue full control of Gaza.